Welcome and welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, you're highly welcome. My name is Juliana. My channel is called Boomzibi Beauty. On this channel, I do makeup, beauty and finance videos. Today I wanted to share my purchase from Nomad with you, but before we get into that, let's talk about this look. So this look right here is actually a recycled look. In my last look, I used Terra's Neon Matte Shadows, which are these. I just use pure matte, and for this look I incorporated 3 of these shades, which are the shimmers, onto this look. The colors I incorporated were Half Moon, which is on my main lid, Ruby Stars. In my inner corner I put Europa. All of this have been swatched in another video, which I will link to this. I just wanted to get my high look out of the way. Now let's get into the Nomad eyeshadow palettes. Nomad Cosmetics is a brand I wanted to buy from for a very long time. As you know, I always wait for sales, I always wait for deals before I make all those purchases, just to make it worth my while. And in all honesty, these were the 2 shadows that got them on my radar. So it was the Orient Express and the Tokyo palette, which we would have a look at in due course. So in total I got 6 eyeshadow palettes, and 4 of them came in a pack. So this is the pack that the 4 of them came in. The only 2 that were outside the pack was the Fire and Ice palette as well as the Orient Express palette. So this came separately. So in the pack of 4, the first one was the Tokyo palette, and then Berlin palette, Marrakesh palette, as well as the Cartagena palette. So let's take a look at this palette. One thing I noticed though, ever since I've been looking at this brand and just looking on YouTube to try and see what the palette looks like, I was trying to see if I could find tubers with similar skin tone as mine, you know, to see what it looks like on their skin, and I could hardly see any dark skinned person reviewing this shadow. Whether they've done something wrong to upset people, I am not aware of that, but I wanted these shadows, and despite the fact that I couldn't find so many people reviewing it of similar skin tone to me, I still wanted, and I went ahead and got them. Alright, let's take a look at the first palette. So this is the Tokyo palette. This is one of the ones that really made me buy all these shadows, and this is what the Tokyo palette looks like. So it's mainly a pastel palette, as you can see. The top row is matte, the middle row is satin, and this bottom row are shimmer toppers. So they are not proper shimmers, they are not pigmented as shimmers to have on the lid on its own. They are toppers to kind of take your look to the next level, and I will swatch all of the bottom row for you, as well as, well, some of the satins and the mattes. These are 4 shades out of the bottom row, and as you will see, they are toppers. They are not shadows, you know, to have on the lid, you know, as a main shadow, unless you just kind of like going for like a light look. You can have your matte, then the satin on top, and then this on top. That's actually how best to use this palette. And this is the last shade on the bottom row. So as you can see, as mentioned earlier, they are definitely topper shades, but I'm just going to show you how to take it to the next level, you know, going from the matte to the satin, and then these as toppers. I'm going to use the green as example, so I'm going to go with the matte green and then the satin green as well as the topper green. So this is the matte. I'm just going to put the satin over it, and then the topper shade. So that is all of the 3 combined. Now to swatch the topper on its own. You can see quite a big difference. So in my opinion, this is how this palette is meant to be used, and I mean, the few times I've tried it, that's what I've done, and they came out beautifully. But all of these shades are so beautiful, and I'm also going to swatch some of the satin and some of the matte for you. I have to say, this palette really surprised me. So these are 2 of the mattes. I thought they were going to be light on the skin. I used this palette without any primer, and I was shocked. I went with the purple look. The first time I just laid it on my lid, I was like, what? It was pigmented. I wasn't expecting that at all, at least not from this brand. So I was pleasantly surprised. So these are two mattes from the Tokyo palette. Now I'm going to swatch two of the satin shades as well. And these are the shades I'm swatching. So these are the satin shades. Beautiful palette. Definitely was not expecting the pigmentation on this palette, but I can tell you it's definitely pigmented. Just note that the bottom row are not shimmers but shimmer toppers, and as long as you know that, then you will not be disappointed with this palette. Absolutely gorgeous palette. So this is the Nomad Tokyo palette. Moving on to the Berlin palette. This is the packaging of the Berlin palette, and this is what the inside looks like. Absolutely beautiful grungy palette. This is so beautiful. Now the downside to this palette is it's got what you would call a typical matte shade, just one of it, and that's it there. So all of the other shadows are satin, and they're your what you would call the original metallic shades. So these are the shades where you don't need a glitter glue, but they're still metallic when you apply them on the face, on the eyes. So that's the Berlin palette. So the shades I'm swatching. This palette is so beautiful and grungy looking. I mean, look at this. So they are metallic, seriously metallic actually. Yeah, and this has swatched dry. My skin is dry, no wetness, nothing at all. Absolutely beautiful. On the eyes, it just glided onto my matte without any help. It was beautiful. And that's the Berlin palette. Alright, next is the Cartagena palette. If this hadn't come in the pack, I probably would not have picked this one because it's mainly orange palette. Now I love orange. I absolutely love orange, but I've got so many orange like palettes, which is why I will not pick this. But I'm glad, you know, I didn't have a choice. The reason being, I didn't realize what this pink was going to look like in reality, even though I saw the palettes, because I have been having a look at all the palettes for a long time. But this pink and just, you know, the devish, this yellow and all different shades, you know, complementing the orange just makes it so beautiful, and I'm glad it's part of the pack. So beautiful palette. So this is got quite a few mattes and shimmer, so, and it's also got some toppers as well, and I'm just going to swatch some of the shades for you. Alright, these are the shades I'm swatching. This one is going to be a bit of an awkward one. Okay. Oh, look at that. Beautiful. And the yellow matte. I mean, imagine this on top of that yellow matte. Absolutely gorgeous. And look at that. See what I'm talking about that pink. Beautiful shade of pink. I mean, I'm not a big fan of pink, but this pink, I am definitely a big fan of it. It's absolutely beautiful. I mean, look at that. That's the Cartagena palette. Alright, up next is the Marrakesh palette, and this is what the packaging looks like. I love this packaging. I love this packaging even before we get to the shades inside. And the inside is so true to the color of the packaging as well. Look how gorgeous this palette is. So beautiful. It reminds me slightly of the new Natasha Denona palette, the Zendo palette. Is it what that's what's called, isn't it? All these greens with the oranges. I mean, one other one, the Fire and Highs, also reminds me. You will see the inside of that and you will see why it definitely looks like the new Natasha Denona palette. But this is the Marrakesh palette, and it's absolutely gorgeous. I love the selection of the shades in this palette. Absolutely beautiful. Let's just swatch some of the shades. Alright, these are the shades I'll be swatching. Again, it's going to be an awkward one, but oh, look at that. That is pigmented and beautiful. That's a shimmer shade, a matte shade, shimmer. Oh, look how gorgeous the shades are. One thing I do like about their palettes is they are so unique. They are not like all the generic color scheme that all this brand seems to be copying. I mean, this color scheme is unique and beautiful. I mean, look at that combination of your green, your yellow, brown, orange, and that nice grungy brown red here. Absolutely beautiful palette. I love it. This is the Marrakesh palette. And as much as time would permit me, I'm going to try and do a look with all of this palette because I have been longing and drooling over them for a very, very, very long time. Okay, so those were the 4 that came in the pack as mentioned. So now let's have a look at the 2 that came outside the pack. Up next is the Orient Express palette, and this is the palette itself, and this is the packaging. The palette itself is like a velvet kind of packaging, so it's different to the other ones I've shown you. They were just cardboard, but this is velvet in front of it. And as to the inside of this Orient Express palette, just look at that. Look how beautiful that is. Gorgeous palette. This is my favorite so far. Now I don't know whether it's because of this red inside. I don't think that is it, because I mean, look how well laid and designed this palette is. It's absolutely beautiful, and I'm just going to try and swatch at least 3 shades on each row for you. So I'm swatching the first 3. So is this 2 and this kind of brownish shimmer here. This is what those 3 look like. Absolutely beautiful. Now let's go for the middle row. For the middle row, you know I'm definitely swatching the red, that's for sure. So these are the shades I'm swatching in the middle row. Absolutely gorgeous. Like I said, I'm definitely doing a look with all of the same palettes. I've waited too long for them, and I'm doing a look with each one of them. Now let's swatch 3 in the bottom row. Okay, for the bottom row, yeah, I'm definitely swatching that one. The green, maybe the yellow. Yeah, let's go for the yellow. Maybe as well as this. Actually, that's actually a very, very unusual color. That is beautiful. Oh, look at that green. Oh, absolutely gorgeous palette. Oh, so beautiful. Look at the color story. So beautiful. And this is the Orient Express palette. Okay, the 6th and final palette that I bought is the Iceland Fire and Ice palette, and this is what it looks like. And on the inside, look at this palette. So beautiful. So this is the one that definitely reminds me the most of the new Natasha Denona palette, because of the oranges again, and this shades right here is definitely the set of greens that she has in her palette, and I'll try and put a picture up just so you can see the similarities. But with this palette, I know I don't need the Natasha Denona palette, because this fulfills, you know, all of those colors. They're just kind of enough. And if you look at the Zendo palette, the new palette she's got, most of the shades are repeated shades from our other palette, like the Sunset palette, the Sunrise palette. They've all got these oranges and the peachy shades, so I definitely know I don't need a palette, especially since I've got this one. So let's have a look at this palette. Alright, I couldn't help myself, so I swatched 4 from the top row. Just see what they look like. Look at that. So that's 4 out of the 5 shades in the top row. I'm going to go for 4 again in the middle row. Alright, so these are the 4 I'm swatching. Beautiful. How gorgeous that is. I wish I had swatched that orange now to sort of like give it a bit of a difference, but yeah, these are 4 shades in the middle row. The bottom row is absolutely gorgeous, and I think I'm going to swatch off the shades in that one. Alright, another awkward swatch. My days. How gorgeous that is. That's 5 of the shades in the bottom. Okay, going back to swatch the 2 orange that I didn't swatch initially. Just want to see what the complete palette looks like. So this is all of the shades in the palette. Absolutely beautiful. I'm just going to put it beside my swatches. Look at that. Beautiful, gorgeous palette. Definitely worth the wait. Definitely worth the wait. Okay, so these were the 6 palettes that I got from Nomad that I've just swatched. My thoughts on the shipping and using this palette so far, swatching them, using them on my eyes, my experience has been fantastic. In the first instance, I had the palette shipped to US, so I didn't pay for any overseas shipping costs, because I had someone that I was going to meet up with that was going to deliver the palettes to me physically, so I never paid any overseas shipping costs, and I never paid any customs on them. So from that angle, it's turned out to be very, very cost effective for me, which was an opportunity I couldn't pass. As soon as I knew I was going to meet up with somebody that lived in the US, I had to finally make the order. Then it became worthwhile as opposed to shipping it to the UK, which would have been more expensive. So I think overall it's been a fantastic experience from the moment I ordered to when it was delivered to the person and when it was given to me. They arrived intact. Using the shadows as well, the formulas are fantastic, and what I was expecting from them as well. I don't know why they are not as popular with people of color. Or maybe it's just YouTube. I don't know why people don't use them, but I like them. I like the color scheme. I like the different formulas in the different palettes. I like everything about it, really. Even the packaging, I think, is quite unique because they are tailored towards, it's like a traveling theme. So I absolutely love it. And those are all the shadows I got from Nomad. I am looking forward to the next palette that they do release. I don't know if I'm going to buy it, but I'm looking forward to see what the color story is going to be. And that brings us to the end of this video. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you've enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, share it, and consider subscribing to my channel. And until next time, I'll see you.